Hello, my name is Alexander Pushkarev, and that's Desk Club video podcast. And today I'm going to talk about kind of anti-patterns in infrastructure code. Some time ago, I moved from test automation and test automation architecture job into working in continuous integration and continuous delivery solutions. And I noticed that in CI and CD, we tend to make the same architectural mistakes. And I'm software engineer. I'm not an infrastructure engineer, so I don't know much about infrastructure tools like Kubernetes, and that's not my specialty. My specialty is writing code, and I notice that we usually don't follow clean architecture concept in infrastructure code. We make several mistakes which utterly, ultimately make our life harder. First mistake, we don't separate details, and detail in this regard might be what kind of source control you use, what kind of artifactory or any other artifactor container or storage you use. Things like that you don't control and you want to change. Do I use FTP today or I use cloud or something? This is not essential. And if you, for example, want to work with Git, you don't want your code to work with Git like everywhere. You want your code to be separated into layers. We have a business layer, we have our product, which is going through pipeline stages. And we have a library that would work with any source control. To some extent, this can be achieved, used, if you use things like Jenkins, where there are some abstractions for working with the environment. However, that's a second mistake, and that is if you write a code for your infrastructure things, it's worth making this code separate from whatever CI solution you have. There are many reasons for that. First reason, for example, Jenkins. It does have Groovy and provides you great capabilities. But first, Groovy implementation from Jenkins is not a Groovy implementation as it should be. And you can't move it anywhere without changes, without major changes. Your code there would be essentially tied to Jenkins, and you won't be able to move to any other continuous integration, continuous delivery solution. No chances. You tie yourself for it forever. That's one of the problem. Second problem, testing it is possible, but it is hard because these Groovy capabilities in Jenkins, they were never designed to for implementation of a complex business logic. Instead, what they were designed for being able to call Java libraries or Groovy libraries. So you want to, if you have a major piece of business logic in your Groovy code for Jenkins, you want to instruct this into a separate library that can be reused and can be used independent of Jenkins. So if you make a decision to move to something else, you have as many code reusable as you possibly can. And I also am working on a talk with examples which would describe the way I think clean architecture should work in a continuous integration, continuous delivery, and infrastructure solutions in general, where I will jump into this in details and discuss why I think it is a bad thing to do and how we can fix that. And final thing about the CI and CD anti-patterns that I want to say today. Usually, I have never seen such a zoo of technologies anywhere in the world except CI and CD. We would have like Python, Groovy, some Java, break, like almost every conceivable tool, achieve everything. And that makes our life harder because you can't think without changing context. If you have for a specific activity to operate 5 different programming languages, it's not going to work. And you also make other developers, other team members to want to avoid your infrastructure. And if you want to have to adhere to DevOps philosophy by real, you want not like you don't want to have one DevOps guy or uh, anyone within the team. You want the development team to work on this, and there might be a developer with the skills in infrastructure, but you don't want to have those silos like there was a silo between development and testing. We probably have gone past through this, but now we have same problem with DevOps. You don't want this. So separation of concerns and separating details from what matters, not tying yourself to your CI tool, whatever it is, and limiting and standardizing probably the technologies that you use. And like last thing might be very easy to prove in almost all successful DevOps initiatives I saw so far. Standardization and limiting the amount of things you use was a prerequisite for success. It turned out to be that the variety of things, of choices, does not necessarily ensures success. Often, by limiting choices, you make your chances for success bigger. And that was Alexander Pushkarev. Thank you for joining.
Test Club подкаст.